And we're live.
Hello, everybody. My name is Mark Fortin. I'm chairman, Macomb County Republican Party, and this is the 23rd of October, and it's around 6 o'clock in the evening. A couple of very important things. In fact, I hope that you people will share this. It's very important election information from Macomb County, especially. But I'd like to start off by talking about a recent event on October 17 that the 9th District held at Shelby Gardens. It was a great event, I understand. I wish I could have made it. I couldn't. There's so many things going on. But they had Catherine Engelbright there. She's a lead investigator, the producer. I'm not sure of the title to actually give her, but she was very responsible for that 2000 Mules movie. I hope you saw it. It was very enlightening movie about drop boxes and what all went on in 2020. But during that event, they gave out cameras for people who were willing to use them to keep an eye on the drop boxes. Not a bad idea, in my opinion, especially after watching that movie, 2000 Mules. However, I didn't think anything of it. And then someone gave me a copy of a letter. Can you read it? 14 pages from the office of Dana Nessel, our very honorable Attorney General. It's dated October 10, 2024, and it is to the law enforcement officials of the state of Michigan. 14 pages. There's some interesting things in here I want to go over. I'll try to do it as quickly as possible. But when I go too quick, I forget stuff. I'm not getting no younger. So we're just going to have to go over a couple quick things here. They mention MCL 168940, 168941, MCL 168678, this and that. On page 2, in quotes, it is hereby made the duty of any police sheriff or peace officer present and having knowledge of any violation of any of the provisions of this act to forthwith institute criminal proceedings for the punishment of such offender. Okay, now we know that there can be people. We do need laws like this to make sure things don't get out of hand at an election. But let's think about it in terms of Dana Nessel's history of prosecuting innocent electors who did nothing wrong, no crime, no nothing, no victim, and yet they're still dragged through court. And now she's going after people who allegedly voted twice. Now, I don't know details about that, don't pretend to. However, I have heard that at least one of them spoiled their ballot, which is legal to spoil your ballot and then vote again. So you're not voting twice, you spoiled the ballot, so it's no longer good. And that's not an uncommon procedure for people that vote absentee. Many people vote right away as soon as possible when they receive it. 2 weeks later, they discover, oh, gee, I shouldn't have voted for Felix Mulvaney. I should have been for Mary Smith. And they can go and spoil their ballot and change that vote, and everything is good. One ballot. It sounds as though our Attorney General is interpreting it as 2 votes because they voted on a spoiled ballot that they spoiled. I don't know, but I could be wrong on that. It just seems fishy to me. I know that Democrats sue everybody for everything, especially anything involving these elections. Anyway, so I want to talk about, I'm going down the list here on page 2. Dropbox vandalism is page 3, I think, is where I want to get to here quickly. Okay, page 3. Voter intimidation, AV ballot box, voter intimidation, page 3 of this letter. It talks, I'll just read it, it's not that long. MCL 168761 provides that every jurisdiction must have one or more absent voter ballot drop boxes, depending upon the population, in which voters may deposit absentee ballot applications and complete absentee voter ballots, period. Depending upon the circumstances, such activity could deter elector or a voter from giving his or her vote by depositing their completed absentee voter ballot in the drop box, which is a felony under 168.932. Okay, so now the next paragraph, headline, AV ballot drop boxes, election official intimidation. We don't intimidate elected officials. They can intimidate us all day long. But anyway, MCL 168761 requires that starting 35 days before an election, an authorized election official must collect on a daily basis the contents of an absentee voter drop box and take the contents to the clerk's office. In prior elections, persons or groups have gathered at drop boxes to monitor activity. Depending upon the circumstance, such activity could intimidate an election official and interfere in the performance of the official's related duties, which is a misdemeanor or felony third offense under MCL 168931. Intimidation does not include constitutionally protected activity or conduct that serves a legitimate purpose. But who interprets all this? It makes sense to me. We don't want people intimidating the elected officials picking up the ballots out of the drop box. We don't want that. But with the current law enforcement that we have in this wonderful state of Michigan, with this attorney general we have, it's all into her interpretation. So what does that mean? And then the last thing I want to talk about here, same page, page 3, the very next thing, body-worn cameras. Many law enforcement agencies are equipped with body-worn cameras, BWC. Every agency that employs the use of these devices has adopted policies for when the cameras should be turned off and when they should be recording. It is illegal for cameras to be used in certain areas of an early voting site or polling location to ensure the privacy of the voters. So, and it goes on to say the same things that the other one said. My concern is that many of our friends have taken cameras, signed up for cameras at the October 17th event, and we're just concerned. We want them to be aware. We're not endorsing the use of cameras or saying don't use them, but we just want you aware of this 14-page document that came out October 10 from Dana Nessel's office with all this stuff in it concerning cameras, concerning voter intimidation, concerning intimidation of elected officials. And although you read it, it makes a lot of sense, but it's like beauty's in the eyes of the beholder, right? So what is the interpretation of these things? So I would just exercise caution. I think that we have a lot of rights, but our electors have rights too. Voters that legally spoil a ballot and then change their vote legally, they have rights too. It's how things are interpreted. Now, I just want to, last thing, I want to go right to the very first statement at the top of page 2, which is very important. It's the last subject I'll talk about, but I'm going to lead into it with this. It is hereby made the duty of any police, sheriff, or peace officer present and having knowledge of any violation of any of the provisions of this act to forthwith institute criminal proceedings for the punishment of such offense. As you drive around Macomb County, you're going to see a lot of signs. And among them is going to be re-elect Wickersham, your sheriff. Well, is he our sheriff? I don't know. I think he's the government sheriff. In COVID-19, the sheriff is an elected official. Unfortunately, they run as Republicans or Democrats, but their job is to be the sheriff for everybody in the county and protect, not just write tickets, not just this or that, but also to protect the people of their county. The sheriff is the highest law enforcement officer in the county, and he swears to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America, against anything, foreign or domestic enemies. The governor of the state of Michigan in 2020 was a domestic enemy of the Constitution of the United States, pure and simple. Violated our freedom of religion, shutting down our churches, our freedom of association by closing everything down. You couldn't go to restaurants or anything. Violated their rights. Businesses and restaurants, they have licenses. They go through hoops in a so-called free country in order to conduct business. Restaurants have licenses and everything. They pay bills. Their electric bill keeps coming. Their taxes keep coming. All this stuff keeps coming. And their rights were violated by forced mandates to shut down. Some of them never reopened. Families affected. How many people couldn't bury their dead? How many people did not have weddings or graduations or homecomings? It just went on and on and on. Every aspect of our life, and it's still in effect today. You can hardly, if in the state of Michigan, I shouldn't say the whole state, but I have been around different places in the state, and if you're hungry at 10 o'clock at night, you can forget it, unless you're going to an all-night drive-through McDonald's. Restaurants are closed, all this kind of thing, to this very day, because many of our people have been taught to be good little socialists, and are sitting home waiting for a check instead of out working. On November 17, 2020, Macomb County Republican Party sent a letter to Sheriff Anthony Wickersham, again, 11/17/2020. I'm going to read it. It's short. Dear Sheriff Wickersham, the governor of Michigan has continually attacked the citizens of small business of Macomb County. Her actions have been declared unconstitutional by the Michigan Supreme Court. She then used agencies to push her mandates. No agency of the federal, state, or county government has a right to violate the Constitution of the United States, by the way, which is a supreme law of the land. Mandates do not carry force of law. For instance, the health department we use to keep the President of the United States out of Sterling Heights. You are the highest law enforcement officer in Macomb County, and the citizens and business owners of this county have the right to know your intentions concerning this matter. We request that you immediately and publicly declare your intentions. It is our hope that you will stand with the citizens of Macomb County as they face this unlawful attack. Signed, Mark Fortin, Chairman of Macomb County Republican Party. Never heard a word directly, but a week later, one of our county commissioners, Don Brown, who's been a long-serving county commissioner, Republican, called me approximately a week or so later, told me, Mark, I just want you to know that Sheriff Wickersham has no intention of enforcing the mandates. I thought, boy, that's great. I said, that's wonderful, Don. When's he going to announce it? And then the stepping and fetching started. Oh, well, he can't come out and say that. Well, what do you mean he can't come out and say that? Businesses are closed. Everybody's afraid of the state police and this kind of thing. Excuse me. They're afraid to open. If you don't say something, if you don't let them know they're protected. Do you guys remember the barber in Owasso, Michigan? 70-some years old at the time. I hope he's still with us. It's 4 years ago. Where the state police shut down his barber shop. The man had a license. He had a license to cut hair, everything else. But this governor sent her police force, the state police, and shut him down. We had rallies there and everything. He had a license to do business. If you're afraid to get your hair cut because of a virus, don't go. But the man's got a right to open his store. If you're afraid to go to the restaurant, don't go. But the restaurateur has a right to be open. I'm sure that during that time frame, a lot of people that restaurant activity would have been down for that reason, but they had a right to be open. But Wickersham, who let me know through a Republican commissioner he wasn't going to enforce it, didn't have the guts to come out and actually do his job and protect the people of Macomb County and declare to everybody publicly that you are protected, open for business, your rights have been violated. We're not going to support this shutdown. The sheriff at Owasso, whatever the county that is, He should have been there and telling the state police to go home and protect his barber. You know, ladies and gentlemen, we have a constitution and we're all so busy with our lives. We feel we elect these people and they swear to uphold the constitution and they're not going to go too far, but they're going too far too many times. In recent years, it's more and more and more. Also, another little thing about this is, I have to go through my open file cabinet here. We have been circulating nearly 20,000 now of these, urging people to vote no on the two proposals in Macomb County. One is a cell phone tax on each cell phone, not each account, and for the 911. Macomb County is awash in money. This could easily been paid for by our government with our money that we give our government. But oh no, they want you and me to vote ourselves another tax. So we're opposed to that because there's a lot of money there could be wasted left and right that could be used for this. But it's interesting. Even though the county has a lot of money, look how they're spending some of it. Macomb Daily, this is last week, I believe. Where's the date on this? Oh, October 15. Macomb Daily, that our county government now has to pay $250,000. You know, they need money because they're having us vote to raise our own taxes, right? But they have to pay $250,000 to a past officer, James Stanley. And I think the crux of the whole thing is that the Sheriff Wickersham somehow worked him over because he wasn't supporting him. I've heard stories of this in the past, but never no proof of it. But here's Macomb Daily, where if you don't support the reelection of your sheriff, you're going to get garbage jobs. I've heard stories like that. I don't know if they're true. But now all of a sudden, the Macomb Daily, our county, who could easily afford our cell phone tax but want us to do it, want us to tax ourselves, now have to pay $250,000 to a past sheriff because he was allegedly mistreated by Sheriff Wickersham. I say allegedly, but the courts, it appears to me, the courts requiring our county to pay this, which means in their mind, they did do it. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the opportunity to elect a real sheriff in Macomb County, a constitutional sheriff in Macomb County. Terry McCoskey is fantastic. He's got an unbelievable resume at all levels of law enforcement. And he should and will be our next sheriff. Think about it. Mr. Wickersham is an appointee of a Democrat that runs the county. We have a red county. The majority of county commission are Republican. The majority of countywide are Republican. Treasurer, clerk, prosecutor. And yet we have a county executive, one of the stupidest systems I've ever seen in my life. We got half the county commissioners that we used to have because we went to this system, making a king in Macomb County. Oh, but he's wonderful. He's a conservative Democrat. Oh, is he really? Is he really? Well, how come we're bringing all these illegals into Macomb County? We're going to do some videos on that in the near future too, because I'll tell you what, we're becoming thick with them. And he's doing it because I also have a letter that he wrote to Pompeo during the Trump presidency asking for more. Not illegals, more immigrants. His job is to turn this county blue again, and he ain't going to get it done because we're going to keep it red. And I'm hoping and praying that we can find a good person to run for county executive or maybe even change the system back to what it was. Because Oakland County had an executive too. And now Oakland is so dang blue, we can hardly have any hope of winning it. But in Macomb, we win. We win because the people of Macomb are starting to realize more and more and more that the Republican Party is not the party of the rich. The Democrats are. The Republican Party is a party of everyday men and women who want to be free. So I urge you to protect your family, protect your children, and elect Terry McCoskey for Sheriff of Macomb County. It's critical. We need a good sheriff in Macomb County. In the meantime, I hope to talk to you soon. God bless you and your family. God bless America. Please pray for our country, because in the next few weeks, just a few days, we're going to decide if we remain a free country or not. God bless all of you. Bye-bye.